Welcome to Star Guys, a podcast about Stargirl on DC Universe of the CW. I'm a star, Alex.
Wow. I'm a co-star guy named Justin.
I'm Pete.
Yeah? Are you starring level, co-starring level? Where you at, Pete?
I'm just a guy, trying to do my best in this fucked up world.
Oh, man, that's deep. Yeah. Do you know who else is trying to do her best in this fucked up world is Shiv Part Two. Because that's the episode we're going to be talking about of Stargirl. This is a big episode. This is following up on the climactic events of Shiv Part One, obviously, based on the title. Obvi. This is, we'll definitely get into a lot of the stuff of the episode. Let's do some recap first before we get there. Main things you need to know. Shiv, of course, is Cindy Burman, a HBIC at Blue Valley High School. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She is always rubbing up against people the wrong way.
She's rubbing.
Except for Henry... not Henry Jr. Maybe he is Henry Jr. Henry, a local high school student who is the son of Brainwave, one of the members of the Injustice Society of America. His father was put in a coma. Henry has been developing brain powers, and as we kind of got teased last episode and found out this episode for sure, Cindy has been tasked with following him and dating him by her own father, Dragon King, who is also a member of the Injustice Society of America. Now, Cindy wants to prove herself to her father, wants to prove herself to the ISA, and in order to do that, she tried to kill Stargirl, a.k.a. Courtney Whitmore. She wasn't totally successful, but she did knock Courtney down for the count. Courtney was discovered by her stepfather, Pat Dugan, who is a sidekick / dilettante superhero in his own right in a robot suit called Stripe. That was pretty upsetting for her, but also they were starting to become friends a little bit, Cindy and Courtney. So that's a pretty big bummer for her as well. Courtney, meanwhile, had ditched her teammates in the new Justice Society of America, specifically Our Man, a.k.a. Rick Tyler, Yolanda Montez, a.k.a. Wildcat, and Beth Chappell, a.k.a. Dr. Midnight.
Yeah.
We're very excited to go up against the ISA. Very excited to train with Pat, but Courtney was like, nah, I'm good. I've had like a week of on-job training, so I am good to go.
I mean, in her defense, she is really good at beating things that are standing still and barely held together.
Yeah, bucket heads.
Yeah, she took it to some buckets last episode.
Let me ask you guys, are you guys concerned with the fact that Beth is masquerading as a doctor? Because she has no medical degree. I don't think she has an honorary degree.
She didn't go to 4 years of midnight medical school to not be called Dr.
Yeah,
Midnight.
that's true. She is smart enough to be a doctor.
I don't know. I think she's maybe dentist midnight, but no Dr. Midnight.
Oh, don't shots fired at Dennis.
Midnight DDS.
My follow-up is, are you guys worried about all the buckets that were hurt in Shiv Part 1, and do you think that Shiv Part 2 will be Revenge of the Buckets?
I thought there's going to be a big follow-up on the bucket situation. A lot of like leaky buckets because they have holes in them from the attack. It's a shame.
I'll tell you what. They didn't bring up the buckets this episode, but there was enough talking to inanimate objects that I feel pretty much good to
feel secure.
We'll get to
and I will say, the next episode is called "Where the Fuck Are All the Buckets?" So,
where have all the buckets gone?
They could have called them buckets and cut a couple of characters out of that.
That's true. Keep your titles short.
A couple of other things you need to know about what's going on. Mainly that there's a guy named Jordan Ma Kent, who is the leader of the ISA.
Stop saying that name. It's awful.
What? Ma Kent?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call him Jordan Pa Kent instead. How about that?
Sweet.
All right.
Or you can stop at Jordan.
He is also a supervillain named Icicle. He's the leader of the ISA, as I mentioned. He is out for vengeance because his wife died. Because, as we find out this episode, I'm sure we'll talk about it more, because of a bunch of chemicals in the water, and he's trying to fix America because of that. They seem to be doing or wanting to do the right things for potentially the wrong reasons in the wrong way. Again, I'm sure we'll talk about that quite a bit. And he's also struck up a relationship with Barbara, a.k.a. Courtney's
relationship.
Mom, a.k.a. Pat's coworker. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
You think that's a work relationship they got going on?
That's right. It's a working relationship. Icicle has a lot of respect for what Barb brings to the table, and it's about time somebody's noticing what Barb's bringing to the table.
Yeah, he's noticing what Barb's bringing to the table, all right. You know what I'm talking about, Pete? Come on, high five.
No, you're a fucking creep.
Pete. Right
Stop it.
Skype.
Pete, you have to give him a high five.
No, I do not.
Owe him a high five.
That was a creepy-ass thing to say.
You're leaving me hanging.
Yeah, when we can finally see each other again, you owe him at least one high five, and I'm going to make sure that due is paid.
I could give him a high five because it would be great to see him again, and I'm looking forward to all this being over and actually being able to hand out some high fives. But I'm not going to high five what just happened there because you're creeping me out.
I could have been much creepier there. I had several things that I cycled through before the thing that I said, but that's pretty much all you need to know getting into this episode. Also, there's a character named Mikey, and he likes food. Okay, let's get into it. Yes,
Mikey is solid gold in this app. I'm talking about daytime Emmy for Mikey. That shit was fucking beautiful.
Daytime Emmy? Why? Why?
Stargirl isn't in any of the categories that we have for daytime Emmys. I love it. Yes, I agree. I'm going to support that. Hashtag daytime Emmy for Mikey.
Daytime Emmy for Mikey. Let's make it happen.
Excellent. So we open up on an aerial shot of Blue Valley. Pat, of course, always with the crack plans. Wait.
Come on. The music was sweet, and it felt like it was going to be like a car scene, and I got very excited about it.
It was technically a car scene.
You probably broke your heart because he crashed the car, right, Pete?
Oh, man, that Buick. But that's the thing about those old big-ass cars is you can run a fucking car at 100 miles an hour into a brick wall, get up, dust yourself off, and walk away.
That is true. I will say in my notes here, as I was watching this scene, I thought it was very funny at first that it was like, he's driving like a madman at 50 miles per hour, which seemed very classic Pat. But then they got it up to like 80 before he crashed the car. So it felt okay to me.
Yeah, it was a good, I liked the way they started there, like what the hell's going on, and then it was a good little plan. It didn't work at all. Reveal. It was an absolute failure. But
what are you talking about? It worked. It covered his tracks.
For who? Barb?
Anyone who asks questions.
So
Everyone
his plan,
knows.
in case for whatever reason you didn't watch the episode, was since Courtney got stabbed through the hands, he followed up on stuff that happened in the last episode, told Barbara as well as the hospital that Courtney was driving the car, he was giving her a driving lesson, and she drove clearly at 100 miles per hour into a tree and got into a car accident and somehow stabbed her hands. Pat also got hurt in the actual car accident. The thing that's crazy about this to me is everybody is pretty chill about it.
Yes.
If I was Barbara, I would be screaming at him.
Yeah. But she's got a whole new other thing going on with this cool icicle. Like Barbsicle is trending, and I think it's happening. So I think that's where her mind is.
Don't push that evil agenda, all right?
I'm not pushing it. It's the characters are falling in love. Hashtag Barbsicle.
Oh, stop that. That is awful. And first off, Pat and Barb, solid, okay? They're like an oak. You can't shake that. But Barb was very disappointed in Pat, and you could see, and then, Pat's dying to tell the truth, which is, I think super, super nice of him. He cares about Barbara, and he doesn't want to lie to her.
If I had to rate the chemistry between Pat and Barbara, I'd call it Craigslist roommate first meeting.
You're awful.
They don't even talk to each other like they know each other.
Oh, stop it.
When Pat calls to tell her about the accident and she picks up the phone, she doesn't answer it like, hey, honey, hey, sweetie. She says, hello, Pat.
Yeah, she smiled and was excited to talk to him. What is your guys' deal?
Oh, hey, what's going on? Why are you calling me?
Their relationship is like uncle and aunt from opposite sides of the family that don't really know how they are related to each other.
You guys are the worst.
I think Pat sleeps downstairs in the basement with the staff, personally.
It's like bus driver and bus driver passenger who doesn't have enough money to put in the machine.
So speaking of this, though, So yeah, Jordan and Barbara. Let's talk about this. So they do have a dinner. I will say, all joking aside, I appreciated the way that they treated this. That clearly, like, frankly, they do have chemistry. Neil Jackson and Amy Smart have chemistry on the show, but he was not taking advantage of her. It felt like this could have gone in a very... Yeah, it could have gone in a different direction, but he treated it appropriately.
Yeah, because he appreciates what she brings to the table, and she got that deal done. Icicle is so evil, he can't get deals done. You need sunshine for deals.
But trolling Pete aside, what I think is great about this scene is you see Icicle, like, he is trying to keep it very businesslike, but when he walks up to leave, he turns back because he feels something for her. And this is the first person, I think, that we'll find out that he's ever felt something for since his wife died. Because so much of this episode with Icicle is about him, his motivation being like, quote unquote, saving the world environmentally, but it's really just a ice cold revenge for on anyone who's even associated with the company that he's blaming for his wife's death. So I think we're going to get these plots coming together with him having actual feelings for Barbara, and her having to choose between Pat and this very successful businessman.
Oh, stop it. There's no choice. All right, so first off...
Yeah, she's going to go with Icicle. I agree with you, Pete.
No, that's ridiculous. All right, first off, I couldn't believe that the reveal of his big, like, evil plan was he was trying to take down evil corporations that pollute the world. I think that's a fucking great plan. I'm completely behind this plan. That was fantastic.
I like that too. I mean, this is jumping ahead to a later scene, but the reason he's in this town isn't even necessarily to close a deal with Barbara. It's to track down this guy who's part of the Bannerman Corporation, I believe, who poisoned the water that ended up killing his wife. We get a badass scene of him essentially taunting the guy and ultimately freezing him with his freeze breath. It's the first time we see the Icicle transformation, which is, no pun intended, like, very cool and I think very well done.
Yes.
It's a little weird. It gets, the blue face is a little weird.
You are very critical of the effects on this show, Pete.
Yeah, why? I thought it was great. And I like the way they played it. Like, he's so, like, it was so casual, so calm. It was like such a slow death. Like, I thought it was great.
I did like the way he was toying with them a little bit. That was very evil and felt very on par.
And I agree, though. It's a interesting plan. This is why I was kind of framing it as like they're doing it the wrong way, but clearly it's going to end up being some sort of let's brainwash everybody in America so that they do the right thing and stop poisoning the water. So they're trying to get the right result in the wrong way. Would be my guess at this point. But I like that. Like, I like having a plan that's like, oh, yeah, I kind of wish that would happen. I wish they would do that.
Yeah, me too. It would be great.
It's so smart. I haven't seen that before on a superhero show where the villains who have been straight up evil from the jump are doing something that is, most people agree is good, just the wrong way. Like, it's smart.
It's like 50% of a Thanos plan, kind of, where Thanos' plan is like, hey, there's overpopulation, let's take care of it by eliminating 50% of the population. This is probably not quite as big, but it's cool. I like this motivation here. Then I just want to mention I wrote down exactly what Barbara says to Pat when she picks up the phone. She says, "Hi, Pat, how's everything?" Which is like... I don't know. They might not have met. I don't think they've met yet.
Oh my god,
that's
crazy.
Like how an intern from another department talks to an intern. Or they're like, "Hey, Dave, what's up over in your department?"
The parents in this show, unlike Riverdale or other shows where they both get like sides of like part of the story, the parents aren't as much a part of the story. This is really focusing on the kids. So the parents are kind of out of it. They don't spend a lot of time focusing on the parents' romance or any of that stuff. It's all sidebar. It's not things that kids see or is important to them.
That is insane because there's significant scenes, one that we just talked about, where Barbara and Icicle clearly have something that's sparking up. And then later on, a woman sticks her foot in Pat's crotch in order to seduce him under the sink. So they're spending plenty of time on the parents in this show.
Damn it.
Speaking of that scene, I guess we should talk about it later, but very fun. I want to say Pat is maybe Archie. He's like an Archie person. He is
a little bit. Everybody wants him in this town.
Yeah.
Denise, the William Zarek's wife,
Yeah.
super into him before she left town. The other wife, this Bobby is, I think her name, very into him. All the wives.
Love mechanics, man.
There's nothing more attractive than a mechanic who is very, very bad at lying.
That's who you want to start up an affair with, too. So, Pat calls Barbara. He tells her everything's okay. Of course, Courtney's in the hospital, so she's definitely not okay. But she's heading home, and we get a great conversation. I thought there were several great conversations throughout this episode, but I thought this conversation between Pat and Courtney was very good. Yeah. It's the first time, we've complained about this a lot, I think, but it's the first time where it felt like Pat was, if not ahead of the game, definitely on the game and forceful enough and explaining himself in a way to Courtney where it's like, you're in the hospital. This is not working. We can't keep doing this thing.
He was being a good dad. He was like a straight up good dad in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that said, Courtney's like, please don't tell her until we've beaten the Injustice Society of America. And he's like, that sounds all right.
Yeah, he's like, all right. Yeah. I just need a good reason.
Yes. Then we jump over to Cindy and her dad, the Dragon King. Another great conversation scene. I love how this is weighted. And for those of you listening, if you haven't listened to our bonus podcast with Nelson Lee, who plays Dragon King, please do. He was great.
It's great.
He was a ton of fun to talk to. Very different from the character on the show. But this conversation also, like I was saying, very good because he shuts her down, but not in a horrifying way. Like, it still feels like a daughter-father relationship.
He threatened to take the hood off. That's pretty threatening.
But we don't know what that means, and I really that was a great, like, because now we know he's going to pull that hood off eventually, and it's going to be fucked up.
You're not talking to your dad anymore. You got to talk to a dragon face. So the negotiations aren't going to go as well.
You think he has like a weird birthmark or like really bushy eyebrows?
Have you seen the eyes on it? It's a straight like snake face or, some kind of dragon.
He has like some nose hairs that are sticking out, and it's like the only thing that you can concentrate on.
Cindy, don't make me show you my nose hairs. They're so stringy and some of them are gray. I'm aging.
Oh, my God.
We also get another...
I think it's a good example. Even if you're, the Dragon King, you should, listen to your daughter a little bit. She just needed a vent, and he wasn't having it. We
also get another hint that Cindy did something to her mom back in the day. He says, "You are so good at hurting people." And she's like, "Stop making this about mom." What do you think she did to her? Did she just stab her and kill her?
Yeah, she shivved her mom.
She shivved her mom.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she made like a little toilet wine or something.
Oh, my God. She's called Shiv, man. Don't make that. Don't make that jump.
I do think that she is killed. I guess she didn't kill her. We're saying the mom is the same mom, but she has some clone energy, especially in this episode.
And also, there are some nice toilet wines out there. Don't fucking, try to label all toilet wines.
Both of these things are important to clarify, I think.
And how is your toilet wine sommelier class going, Pete? Because I know you are sort of a source for that information.
Well, as you know, being a sommelier is a hard level to achieve. But you kind of you try a little bit at a time, and eventually you'll get there.
Yeah. What do you call it? Like pedo instead of pruno or something, or what's going on?
Instead of Pinot? Is that what you mean? Like
no. Isn't it Pruno as toilet wine? Or am I mixing two things up?
I think
is Pruno the insane clown posse thing?
No, that's Faygo.
And
that's just a soda.
I'll look it up at some point when I'm not talking.
Okay.
Good luck.
The other big detail that gets established in the scene is that Stargirl is not dead. So they've got to take care of her in some way. He forbids her from doing anything further. He's got to report this to the ISA. And then we cut over to our heroes, Rick, very annoyingly just pushes some stuff off some tables. What is the deal with that?
This guy's got a temper. He's got a temper.
He does have a temper. Somebody's got to pick that up, though, you know?
Yeah.
Very rude. But they talk about it. Rick is like, I'm going to go to Cindy's house. I want to take down Cindy. We're going to destroy her for what she did to Courtney. He is rude to Beth, says, what are you going to do? Stare at me?
But, I mean, Dr. Midnighter just like lays it down, though, like gives a fantastic, heartfelt speech, puts our man kind of in his place. I thought it was fantastic.
First of all, Midnight DDS, we've already established that. But
Dentist Midnight.
Yeah, I thought this was great. Like, Beth stepping up. Granted, she says, I have a really good plan. Debatable whether it's a good plan or not.
Actually, not a good plan.
Anytime you have
worse.
to say a plan, a good one, that's not a good sign. Because if it is a good plan, you don't have to, hype it up like that.
We cut away from that scene, but she was like, okay, here's the plan. We're just going to go to our house, and that's the plan.
That's the plan.
There's no more to the plan.
You're going to wait outside, and I'm going to look at things with my goggles until I figure out what it is.
She could have done that from outside, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So there's another weird scene. Pat wheels Courtney through the hospital, and they see Henry there, and she just waits there for a while and stares at him until he looks at her, and she says, hi, Henry, and then he closes the door on her. They don't really have a relationship, do they? Or was I forgetting something?
I think the point of the scene was to show that they were aware of each other and that they don't really like each other. Or at least Henry doesn't like her.
Yeah, I mean, Henry's kind of going through a lot right now. He's got budding powers that may or not be happening. His father's in a coma. Cindy's not a lot of help. So, he's struggling a little bit. He didn't slam the door. He politely shut it, which I appreciated.
Why are you on Henry's side so much?
I'm just pointing out facts, man. I'm not on
You're a
anybody's
brainwave
side.
guy.
Man, Team Henry.
Oh, my God.
Over there. Whatever it is. Yes, Pete.
We're going to talk about
biggest scene in the episode.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Okay. So there's Courtney being all sad in her room.
Paint us a picture, Pete.
Mike takes the pizza
His
bites,
name's Mikey. He's not a Mike.
And shares them with his sister, his favorite food, and just a moment where he's looking at the pizza bites and like, I don't really know if I can let these go, but then he's like, no, this is for my sister. Beautiful. I mean, I'm sure you guys got all choked up.
They're not just pizza bites, they're pizza-palooza bites. And I would thank you to please get that correct.
Yeah. A little weird that we've had multiple instances of product placement in the show, from Pop-Tarts to Skittles to everything else. But I guess they couldn't get Totino's on board? Is that what happened there?
Totino's was like, nah.
Sorry, we have a big contract coming through with Golden Girls reruns. I have some issues with Mikey in this scene.
Come on, dude! He killed it in this scene. It was fucking beautiful. What are you talking about?
He opens Courtney's door first and then knocks. That's not how you walk into a room, my friend. I don't care how many pizza-tizers you have on your little plate.
She's hurt in bed, okay? It's not what...
What do you mean? That's not how doors work.
She can't hear knocks, Justin.
Yeah.
All right? Her knock-hearing ability got knocked out by Shiv.
We cut away from the scene before we find out what happens before Mikey leaves. There's no way he left her room without eating all of those pizza-palooza bites.
He could not.
He was truly upset about giving them up. You could hear his little Brooklyn accent for some reason cracking as he was giving her the pizza-paloozas.
You don't know Mike's side fucking hustle and TV show that he's the star of. You don't know, all right? Like, Mike opened up and shared the thing that he cares about the most with his sister, said he was sorry for his kind of thing at the football game, and it was very touching, and they both had a very sweet moment.
Yeah,
I have
but
a
listen,
question.
I attended Pizza-Palooza back in 1998, and I'll tell you what, he's making a bastardization of that concert.
I have a question about these Pizza-Palooza bites. I think he says something about like even the good greasy ones at the bottom of the bag.
Yeah.
Is that actually a thing? Because my experience has always been like there's just crumbs at the bottom of the bag, and it's annoying.
I mean, he's just trying to. He's trying to hype up his pizza bites a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's legit.
So he gave her the ass end of his Pizza-Palooza bag,
There's
and he's
no
trying to
ass end
dress
when
it
it
up?
comes to pizza bites. All right, they're all fantastic.
I don't know. This feels like a real bottom of the barrel gift.
It was very sparse on there. Like the Pizza-Palooza bites, they were very sparsely placed on the plate. It felt like, I don't know, you could have put like some whipped cream or like some M&Ms on there or something like that. Had a couple of Twizzlers on it to really make it a meal.
Yeah, but
have
he's
him
not
come out
making
of
it for himself. He's making it for his sister, and his sister probably just wants the plain ones. All right? He's not going to mic them up. He's trying to do something nice for her.
He
He's
ate
got
the
ice
rest
cream.
of the bag.
Put it over ice cream.
Oh, my God.
There's no way that dude didn't eat the rest of the bag. And second of all, if you want to dress it up, you should have had him pop out of some fucked up volcano or whatever.
Oh, my God. You guys are the worst.
This is the opposite of heightening. Last episode, he made a tiny volcano. This is the episode he makes like a couple of pizza bites.
For his sister.
Who cares?
Oh, my God.
I don't care. Also, that was 2 episodes ago. I'm sorry. Last episode, he made a candy bag. I forgot.
Imagine the writer's room just agonizing for days over like, okay, Mikey, what food can he talk about endlessly this episode? Have we covered Skittles? What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
What's the new
fucking
ground?
love it, man.
I guarantee
love
you.
all the work they're putting into it.
I guarantee you that they write the episodes and they're like, shit, we are 2 minutes short. And then they look over to Teamsters at the craft services table and like, you fucking write something for Mikey. And he's like, yeah, all right, whatever. Okay, here we go. Pizza bites. I don't know. It's a plate of them.
Checks
Takes some
out.
potato chips and puts them in a potato, and it's like a double potato. Anyway, great character. So then we get another wonderful scene of Pat talking to the cosmic staff.
I mean,
He goes down to the basement and he implores the cosmic staff to take care of Courtney and protect Courtney. Pete,
Sweet.
you love this one too?
Yeah, it was a sweet moment. Sometimes you got to talk to the cosmic staff. You got to be like, listen, we got to get on the same page here. All right. Because Pat's right, as per usual. This guy is like, listen, you're throwing my daughter into a whole lot of, trouble. She's not well trained. We've really got to work together and try to keep her safe. And it's a nice moment. And then he put a little Luke Wilson magic on the end and just started talking to himself and being like, you're losing it, Pat. Talking to his stick. I thought it was fun.
Pat talks to himself a lot, I bet. I'm so curious what the deal is with the staff. Is the staff a fully intelligent, like R2-D2 type thing? Is it like an AI Alexa type situation? Like, I find it strange that we don't know what the deal is.
I started to feel like, just based on the conversation aspect, that it almost needs to be haunted by something or an AI like McNider or something like that. Like, probably not Sylvester Pemberton Starman, but I could see it being... I mean, this is something straight from the Starman comic, but there's a point when they interact with a Ted Knight AI, and I could see some sort of variation on that happening, as long as it's not repetitive of Beth's glasses.
That could be interesting. Wouldn't it sort of have to be Sylvester Pemberton, though? Like, they haven't introduced any of the other...
They mentioned Ted Knight, though, right?
They did, but and maybe that's enough to get back to it, but I don't know. I guess I'd be surprised if they went all that way and we saw that projection, but I would obviously be very into that.
Yeah. So he talks to the staff. Barbara very briefly comes into Courtney, kisses her, and then Barbara talks to Pat.
Yeah.
This is the conversation we talked about earlier. He decides, despite what Courtney said, I think it's pretty clear, he wants to tell Barbara the truth. But she says, I'm tired for my trip to Oakville, and immediately goes to sleep, which is like a classic TV thing of like, don't give me this information right now until you've decided to not give me this information.
Yes.
But
and a classic thing when you're in love, when you come home to see your significant other and you're like, oh, it's so great to see you. Stop talking. I'm going to bed.
I wish they had gone for it here. Like, I wish they, and I know I understand why they're holding back for it, but
well, then if you understand, then don't wish against it.
No, because I understand, because like they still have a bunch of episodes of the season, right? So they gotta have Barbara find out the most horrible way possible. But I feel like it could have opened up so many more storytelling possibilities if they just put the pedal to the metal and had Pat be like, there's something I need to tell you. Even if you did a fake out thing where she's like, I'm really tired, I need to go to sleep. And he's like, no, I need to tell you right now, I'm Stripesy, Courtney's Stargirl, the ISA is here. And then how does she deal with that?
What,
you know, she doesn't even know.
First off, what you're blowing past, Alex, is the fact that Barb was not ready for this conversation. And you don't drop a bomb on somebody until they give you the okay. You say, hey, we need to talk. And if they say, now it's not good, you don't say, fuck you, I'm telling you anyway. You respect that, and then you wait for her to give you the okay, and then you do it.
I don't respect nothing from nobody, buddy.
Yeah, I can tell.
I do whatever I want.
I also think the reason they're holding it off a little bit is I think they're going to wait until Icicle and Barbara are a little bit closer before that information drops, because I then think Barbara will go to Icicle when she's distraught over this.
I hope not. That would be awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, from a structural standpoint, it makes sense, but it would be more exciting to me if they just, not to use another metaphor, but like pulled the Band-Aid off and just went for it. But again, I understand where they're going with this.
Yeah, you're over
it's all good. It's all good. Then we get the scene of the guy from Bannerman dying, which we talked about already, and then we get some big stuff with Henry.
Him to death.
He all right. Okay. Talk about creepy. Pete.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah.
How would you say it?
I hope you're not writing his obituary. And let alone, also, I'm going to take you off my obituary writing duties as well, because whatever happens, I don't want you to say something like that.
Yeah, well, you don't want me to write that obituary anyway.
So now I've changed again. I want you to write my obituary.
Just one last fuck you.
At Henry's house, he is searching for these pills that are going to help the horrible headaches he is getting, and instead he finds a key in his dad's desk, which is really weird because his dad never keeps keys in his desk.
Yeah, that especially was funny when he lifts up and he's like, what the? I was like, it's a key. There's no reason to be shocked that there's a key in a desk, which is where keys live.
Yeah, I think it's more like, just what the, of like, there's floating pills and all this stuff going on.
Yes, that happened after.
Sure. I mean, it's also, not to pick on this one detail too much, but it's not that weird because then as he immediately discovers, there's several things in that office alone that have keyholes that potentially could fit that key. So it's not that strange. But he finds the key, he finds the pills, and this is the point when he realizes that maybe he's not imagining things because he makes the pill float in the air and he grabs it. It's not just his brain going wild. Then we go over to the kids with their expert plan. Pat sneaks up on Yolanda and Rick. And I'll tell you, I kind of love Pat in these sequences just because it's one of the few times in the show that Pat is actually ahead of the other characters. The kids' plan is so dumb that Pat, by comparison, is the expert in here. And him walking up, them lying worse than him. Him running up to Beth, getting to the door, Beth lying terribly, and him trying to correct everything. Very fun sequences across the board.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And that's what we get here.
Yes, it definitely is. But this is fun. We get to see Bobby Burman is there. She welcomes her in. And they start to snoop around a little bit. What do you think the deal is? I know we touched on this. You said you think maybe it's a clone thing. What do you think the deal is with Cindy's mom?
I mean, it's something she feels in the scene from a couple episodes back. She was very scared of Cindy and like uncomfortable talking to her. So it felt like she's not like sort of a Stepford wife situation. But I do think there is something off about her.
I think she got dragon faced is what happened. Is she's, saw what's underneath the hood and is scared shitless.
But it feels like she doesn't know. She's scared of Cindy, but she doesn't seem to know about all the other things.
Is it possible there's almost nothing to back this up, but what if she's Denise? Like Denise, William Zarek's wife, disappeared. We assume she was killed, but she disappeared. What if they took her and transformed her in some way into this wife to keep up a front?
That's why they couldn't, she was unknown.
Yeah, potentially. Like she didn't exist before.
I feel like you're basing that on the fact that Denise was trying to get with Pat, and then Bobby Burman tries to get with Pat, and you're like, there's no way two people are attracted to this goober.
His wife barely is, so there
exactly.
you go.
Come on, why stop shitting on Luke Wilson? The guy's got a lot going for him.
I'm talking about Pat, the character. Luke Wilson is a very different but oddly similar person.
Yes. I did love the joke. I thought it was very fun when Beth looks at him with the glasses and McNider is like, oh, that's Pat Dugan. He's 14 pounds heavier than he was before.
It's great.
Fun thing.
That was fun.
Get older.
The cheerleading bit that Beth does when they're first on Cindy's doorstep, I thought was a very funny.
That's a fun. She's like, I've got a lot to learn. That was great.
Beth is very good throughout this whole sequence. She's funny and also like
Beth killed
guiding
in
us
this
through. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was screaming at her to get out of there. I mean, when the one thing that you have, goggles, is not working and you can't communicate with anybody, I was literally like, leave, get out of there. What are you doing? It's very stressful.
She ends up, as Pete's saying, snooping around the house. She finds a picture of Cindy's dad, Dr. Ito, who we know is the Dragon King. Downstairs, she goes into the tunnel. She hears Grundy growling, gets scared, runs out.
I'm still saying it's Gorilla Grodd because of the growl noise.
Yeah, it's not that.
Definitely
it's
not. Definitely Grundy.
Yeah. And that's already been established several times. Cindy, meanwhile, another great scene, goes over and visits Courtney.
Oh, what a fun!
Yes.
Like
This
they go
good.
to Cindy's house. Cindy goes to. Oh, that's fun. That's just fun.
Well, and I like this because they played it in a predictable but unpredictable way.
Yeah.
Like you pretty much think at this point that of course Cindy knows who Courtney is. Yeah. But they spend enough time and they play it in such a way that at least watching it, I was completely fooled into like, oh, I guess Cindy doesn't know.
Well, that's the thing. She does the Columbo, just one more thing before. It was so good. So good the way she was just like, I really love your staff. Your cosmic staff. I know who you are. It was so great.
Yeah. So great. I really like the way this played out because, to your point, Alex, I was like, does she seriously not know? This is crazy in the first bit of the scene. And then she's just being obnoxious. She's eating all the chocolates. She's just being a regular jerk. And then she's like, I'm going to kill your friends. Like, it just was a really well done twist and turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit. I mean, it played out a little differently, but it reminded me of the Vulture twist in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie when he goes over to his house. Where it's the same sort of thing where like it's so tense, and then when it finally turns around and he reveals, of course I know exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's awful. And it also again made me feel bad for Cindy because I think there's some truth to the fact that she's saying she doesn't know how to express herself. She thinks they're kind of similar because our dad's stuff, which was a very funny line. She really needs a friend, and that turn at the end
is hard, man.
Well, the only way she knows how to relate to people is by killing them. That's it.
Yeah.
And she's good at it.
She's very good at it. Then we get the end of the Beth sequence. She gets the picture. Yolanda and Rick suit up in the bushes.
They have that moment where they look at each other and get their backpacks ready. That was
they're like, you got your stuff. And Rick puts his thing on, doesn't do anything. Yolanda throws Beth out the window in a very funny way. But like honestly, what did Rick do? He put his
caught
Hour Man
her.
stuff.
Used the Hour Man stuff to
that's
catch
right.
her.
He did catch her. That's right.
Don't try to cut out Rick.
Yeah, but they didn't do that much. And then
Yeah.
Wildcott was like, I got to climb up to a window, which you probably could have just opened the window yourself anyway, and then I'm going to hang on the roof. Though, again, I think they played it well because Pat coming out and being like, what are you doing in the middle of this neighborhood dressed as Wildcat?
I thought that was the funniest part of the episode. And Pat's like, what are you doing? It reminded me of Bottle Rocket, which is one of my favorite movies, which is the Wilson brothers are in it. And it felt very much like there. He's like, what are you guys doing? Come on, we got to get out of here. And like Yolanda's like covering up her, using her hand to cover up some of her costume. I was like, this is so goofy.
Another very goofy, very funny bit is when Beth tries to hide in the closet when Cindy is coming home, but she doesn't fit.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because it's a
And
tiny
she didn't
closet.
even try the other door. She was just like, well, this won't work.
She could have taken the backpack off.
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of this episode, I guess, now that we're talking about it, feels like, despite the fact that we spent time talking about how the Pat Barbara thing feels like it's very clearly set up the way that they're going with the plot, a lot of it was playing against expectations, where you expect you're going to get that scene where Beth's hiding in the closet, Cindy comes home, we get the shot from inside of the closet, but that doesn't work, and they go in a different direction instead, and that's super fun. It also leaves time for the great stuff at the end of the episode where Courtney gets the staff. The staff is like, I'm not going to help you. I need to listen to Pat. So we finally find out the staff was listening to the conversation.
Well, you knew that because the staff lit up at the end when he was leaving. You knew the staff would listen.
But as soon as she says Pat and the others are in trouble, it responds. Then we get another amazing, I thought this was fantastic, this ending sequence. It was so tense and so well done across the board, where first Henry is using his powers to manipulate the key through the air. Eventually he finds his dad's uniform. There's a bunch of videotapes in there.
Creepy videotapes. The old VHSs. That's going to be some creepy shit when he watches those.
All pornography.
No, it's all torture stuff. It's probably
it's all like tape Cinemax stuff from when
Up All Night type
I think
of
it's
things?
like bootlegs of Care Bears and Snorks.
Yes.
Oh, you think he's selling
gummy bears and snorks? Yeah.
selling black
Funimation
market
bootlegs. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he finds that. He also finds out that Cindy has been manipulating him. She's been ordered by the Dragon King to watch him. So he runs off to go there. And then we get this fight sequence. Cindy knows someone's been in her room. Stargirl smashes through the window, smashes her into a mirror, and they proceed
This
to
was
just
so great.
blast each other in the bedroom. Amazing.
The fight sequence was really awesome. I was a little bit like, you were just texting your friends. Like, wouldn't they text her and be like, okay, we're out. We got out of there. You know what I mean? Like, the lack of communication was a little bit like, I couldn't enjoy the fight sequence as much because I was like, how does she not know where her team is? And they were just texting. Why would they stop once they finally got out of there and are okay? It would have been the first thing you would do is text your friend, being like, we're out, it's okay.
Well, they weren't responding to her earlier. That didn't catch me up because how hard that Courtney rolls up on Cindy, I thought was just so well done. And then that fight sequence was great. I love the line, I'm going to kill that star-spangled bitch. Like, just great from everyone.
Yeah. Also knocking, like, it was just brutal across the board in a way that I did not expect, but is appropriate to the fact that Stargirl and Shiv are clearly set up as arch enemies.
Yeah.
Them fighting in the street, the reveal of Henry's powers. Finally, he sees her claws, her being like, you're like me. We're the same. Help me kill her. We have to kill her. Henry freaking out. The rays coming. Just him sending that mental blast and blasting them apart. Great.
Yeah. I really liked how they did the Henry kind of like reading mind stuff. It was fun to hear the conversation. It wasn't like things that are said to move the plot forward. I kind of really appreciated how sloppy and how real it felt, where it was like a bunch of different conversations because he's not sure who he's kind of listening to. I thought it was really neat. And then just the kind of her being like, oh crap, what do I do? How do I, I thought that was really cool.
And I love the fact that they can go from like all the goofier stuff with Pat and the rest of the JSA into this like super high stakes fight sequence where these people are like, it really feels like they are willing to sacrifice everything for these fights. And that is, balancing those tones is not easy.
Yeah, it's great. At the end, Cindy gets taken into the sewer by a couple of her father's drones. Stargirl is left behind. Henry knows that Stargirl is Courtney, so that's a big deal. But he runs off. He's lost. He doesn't know what's going on at this point. So much is happening to him. And it ends with the Dragon King at the monitor, realizing my daughter was wrong. He does have his father's powers, and this is bad news for Blue Valley because that's the one thing they need to finish their machine and finish what they are planning to do to the entire world.
Was it weird to you guys that like the Dragon King was watching from, I guess it was like a satellite that was spying on them, or just kind of a sky cam drone situation? I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, man, the Dragon King's got satellite footage or shit. Like, how does he have that kind of? I
feel like it's a classic like enemy of the state, if you remember that movie style thing, where it's like, please don't ask any questions about how this makes sense. Just enjoy the fact that he's spying on them.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. He just has everything wired everywhere. Also, there was, I think, footage of a satellite dish, which is the dish that they stole a couple of episodes back.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, pretty soon we're going to see how this all comes together. Before we wrap up here, who was the star of the episode? Pete, let's go to you first. Star of the episode.
You want to go with me?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to just say the Emmy goes to Mike. The Emmy goes to Mike.
His name is Mikey. Stop calling him Mike. There's no character that's more Mikey than this Mikey on this show.
And to be clear,
wait, did I discover something
confusion,
that bothers you, Justin? Oh, okay. Well, allow me to retort. Mike was phenoms this ep. I was emotional. He really just is probably the best big brother somebody could have. I mean, if I'm sick and somebody brought me pizza bites, unbelievable. Really just fantastic acting.
Justin, what about you? Who do you want to give and I should clarify, daytime Emmy to?
Yes. That's what we award. We were on the committee. I guess shout out to the doctor that eventually checks Mikey's cholesterol, because there's a problem coming. As soon as Beth looks at Mikey and it's like, this kid's having a heart attack. He's had too many pizza-paloozas. But truly, my star of the episode was Beth. I thought this was a great Beth episode. And a character that is like, it feels, like when you're like, who's a hero? And like, you wouldn't be like, Beth, now that's a superhero. But the way she plays it is so fun, interesting, and then she's a huge factor. She's a huge hero for the JSA and really drives everything forward for them.
Do you know what? I'm going to give it to Pat this episode, which surprises me. But this is the episode where he really stepped up and started being a dad, started being a trainer for the JSA. It's not so much him being the sidekick in the background, being like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. But he was actually, without being the leader, he's being the adult that he needs to be in the situation. And that's great. That is a great position for him to be in. Luke Wilson is very fun to watch that way. I think it's a comfortable comedy sweet spot for him as well. So I'm excited to see if they continue to follow that going forward, or if they just fall back onto him being the sidekick again, which is also possible. All right. If you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out and chat Stargirl with us. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the show. On iTunes in particular, leave us a comment. We appreciate those a lot. Star Guys Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, comicbookclublive.com. For this podcast and many more, for the Star Guys, this is Alex, signing off.
This is Justin. We blow it every time.